Hi, and thanks for joining me for this year's Ask the Media video. Shortly we'll be hearing from some media outlets and what they look for when attending the show. But first, let me talk you through the PR opportunities available to you as a Toy Fair exhibitor. Let's start with the PR manual. If you head to www.toyfair.co.uk and click on the exhibitors section, you'll find the PR manual tab. This is your handy guide for all the PR opportunities available to you and offers some tips for those less experienced in PR. While I'm going to highlight some of the opportunities for you now, please make sure to read over the manual so you don't miss out. There are 8 forms in total for you to return to our PR team Bastion, and the deadlines for each of these forms are on the screen now. These forms give our team the information they need to entice the media to the event, as well as entering your company and products to Toy Fair's Best New Toys, the new product guide and the on-site event timetable. All forms can be found in the PR manual and should be returned to the email address on screen now. PR Forms 5 and 6 are what you need to fill in to enter the Toy Fair TV and the Demo Zone. Hosted by TV presenters Anna Williamson and Gavin Inskip, our in-house TV channel generates great exposure over 16 screens at Olympia and on the Toy Fair website. But remember, if you're entering the Demo Zone and Toy Fair TV, you only have 2 to 3 minutes, so make sure you get your main points across and keep it short. Our Toy Fair comic is a fun way to promote new launches for 2017. Sent to around 1,000 journalists in early January, the comic is used to encourage media to attend the event. If you would like to take part, then fill in and return PR Form 2. Finally, our goodie bags. 2 goodie bags are sent to top-tier media, including broadcasters, national media and parenting outlets. The first goodie bag is sent out prior to Christmas and requires small samples to be sent to our offices at the BTHA by the last week of November to be included. The second goodie bag is distributed on site and Bastion will provide information closer to the time. Okay, time to hear from the media. First up is Harry Wallop, a freelance journalist whose work has been included in the Daily Telegraph and on Channel 4. We asked Harry how he likes to be approached by PRs, the pressures of working to tight deadlines and what he looks for on the show floor.
Well, the great thing about Toy Fair is also its weakness, which is it's absolutely enormous. So there's no way you can really cover all the stands in one day. So especially when I'm wearing my news hat on, I would like to do quite a bit of homework about who's there, what interesting new products there might be that a news desk might be interested in, and also a features desk, because they're very similar. There's got to be a news element, something exciting and new, and hopefully you stumble across that as you go around, but it's also useful to have done your homework before and know what sort of exciting things might be there. Well, the things that immediately tickle your fancy, I'm afraid to say, are the big brands. If Lego is launching a whole new range of Lego, then that's a pretty much copper-bottomed news story, and the same would go for, I suppose, Playmobil, Play-Doh, and there's a whole host of great brands that if there's something really exciting and new from them, you're going to write about it. So the smaller brands have to slightly catch the eye. They either need to persuade you that they really are the next big thing, that this is a massive new craze that everyone's going to be talking about, and the other thing is maybe a really good news story that's not necessarily just about that product. It might be about the price of plastic because of Brexit, or we've suddenly got the first toy that Princess Charlotte, I'm thinking here Telegraph love royal stories. There are all sorts of different angles that you could come from. It's not necessarily about the exciting new toy, but what we could turn into a really interesting news story about the industry itself. So as a feature writer, I am most interested in trends. I mean, that's the thing you want to look clever about. You want to have spotted the trend for, say, blind pack toys, pocket money toys, retro toys. One toy does not make a trend, sadly, however fascinating that toy might be. It's usual rule of 3, you know. 1 is a one-off, 2 is a coincidence, and 3, we have an enormous global trend we must write about now. And they're really fun to write about. I do like writing about trends. Most features really are about a trend, and you do need the examples to back it up. So if I was running a small toy company, I'd spotted a really interesting trend, it's worth sometimes helping the journalist by saying, we're not the only company doing this. Someone else across the other side of the Toy Fair has also got something similar, and that makes the journalist's life really easy. You might be giving up a little bit of your own sort of exclusive coverage, but it makes it a far, far stronger piece and something we're far more likely to write about. Different newspapers have different rules about how print and online are split, and most newspapers have sort of merged it almost entirely. So you will file the same copy to the newspaper as it goes online, and the only difference is online can run a bit longer. Some newspapers there is a different department and you would pitch separately. Obviously if it's online there's got to be a picture for every single toy. For the newspaper, just one great picture will do it. As a general rule, a cracking news story from the toy world is a cracking news story, whether it's for the 10 o'clock news or whether it's for the Sun, especially if you're one of the big brands and you're doing something exciting. Realistically, of course, that's not quite true. It is worth thinking about, the Telegraph might want perhaps more of a business angle. It might possibly end up in the business section, especially if it's to do with the price of toys or the price of, the commodities that go into toys. And then the red tops are possibly more interested in, good value, fun, crazy trends, possibly dangerous, poisoning your child's mind with this hideous thing. But that can also be kind of fun, kind of video games for toddlers and stuff. So yes, there are different audiences, but if it's a great story, it should realistically be in any media. I mean, one of the things I get most out of Toy Fair is long-term planning. Just bumping into old contacts, meeting possible new contacts, and trying to spot trends. If I'm a business journalist, then I really do want to speak to the chief executive, the finance director, or the chairman, because if they're making comments on the industry, then I do want to make sure they really are senior and they know what they're talking about. For a feature article, actually, it doesn't really matter. I'll speak to anyone as long as they say something fun, interesting, insightful. I suppose the best way to contact journalists is by email, explaining why this is newsworthy. There are thousands of new toys launched at the Toy Fair. We can't possibly cover them all, so why is this newsworthy? Why should this be a news story or a feature, with the key reason why it's really exciting, and then some of the details about price, availability when it's being launched and stuff. Golden rule for PRs is just don't bombard. Contact by email, great. Follow up by phone call, I haven't got a problem with, but I think leave it at that.
Now we hear from Cassandra O'Donnell. Cassandra has 10 years worth of experience working on television programmes such as This Morning, Loose Women and The Jonathan Ross Show. We asked her what makes the headline for TV, the differences when pitching for a news programme compared to a magazine channel, and the biggest mistakes that PRs make when pitching.
As a producer, we'd be regularly approached by PRs. What we're looking for when you're putting together a show like that is essentially a story, so something to grab onto. It's that conversation that mums are having in the playground or people are having at water coolers at work. It's what people want to talk about, essentially. So you're looking for a story. Something like Toy Fair, I'd always be looking for what's the headline. Is it the fact that nostalgia's coming back, that families across the country are going to be playing all together this year? You're just kind of looking for something to hook the whole item on. Something like a jigsaw could definitely get coverage on a TV show, because what you would do, you'd wrap it up in the story that nostalgic toys are back in fashion. You'd be talking about the quality time families are spending together, or what the jigsaw does for the brain. Demo-wise, stories differ obviously from show to show. Something like a toy that kind of explodes or is visually brilliant can obviously work on TV, but it would always have to be backed up by something. So whether, is it a trend that toys are all doing this these days, or is there, are there figures about the amount that has been sold? There would be something that we'd need to hook it on, but visually it's always well received if you're doing a demo item. B-roll is always really important when you're selling into TV, especially news. It's always good to speak to producers when the idea comes up, because you can have those kind of tentative conversations. Would you be interested? What would make you interested? How can this story develop? What would you need? You have to understand the schedules. When it comes to TV, I would just be pitching. One, I'd always think about their PR. Would there be a question they could ask a spokesperson that might make a headline? Or will a funny clip go viral? That's another way of looking at things. That's how I would pitch it to TV as well. It would be really funny if X, Y, and Z happened, during the demo item, and just kind of give them food for thought. So for PRs trying to get in contact with producers, I would suggest just email, but really well-crafted, well-written emails. I would suggest that PRs research the show and understand who the audience is and potentially what the presenters themselves like.
That's all from this year's Ask the Media. Don't forget to look over the PR manual for all the opportunities available to you. And if you have any questions about the video, then please contact our team at Bastion. I hope you have a great build up to the show and look forward to seeing you in January.